Today, in the Field Target Hunter Division 101 series, we are looking at something less field target specific and more general airgun related. Barrel polishing and how I think it should be done. Before we get to that, I'd like to announce a new way to support the channel. You can always visit targetforge.net. We love helping you get the most enjoyment out of your trigger time. We are excited to announce that we are adding Patreon to the mix. This allows me to provide you this content. You can find the link in the description below. Even a few dollars a month helps us keep the machine moving forward. For those in the know, we also do Amazon affiliate linking as well. You'll find links below to many of the items featured on this channel. I know that I will only feature items I actually use and believe have value for you and me. I wouldn't have it any other way. Using my links does not cost you 1 penny more, but Amazon gives us a small commission on the sale. A true win-win. Let's get to it. I've seen a bunch of content on barrel polishing. I'm sure many of you have too. I've seen guys going at it with cleaning rods. Kind of looks like someone taking a wildebeest with a spear. I have done some polishing on my HFT guns with a patchworm. I like this solution a lot better because it cannot really steer the cleaning or polishing media the way a stiffer rod can. Remember, we are not here to change this barrel dimensionally. We only want it clean and as smooth as we can make it. Why polish? Less abrasion on the pellet or slug as it travels down the barrel. That's really it. That leads to less lead buildup in the barrel, and also the less aggressively that projectile gets cut up by the rifling, the better and more consistently it will fly through the air. Polished barrels typically need to be cleaned less because they see less lead accumulate over time. Some evidence exists that the effects of wind on the projectile can be minimized with smoother projectiles in flight. All this ultimately leads to better accuracy and less maintenance. What polishing won't do? It's not going to turn a gun incapable of good velocity regulation into a better shooter. Not going to happen. It's not likely to make a pellet or slug the barrel doesn't already like shoot better. This process might lead to better accuracy. It will lead to less time spent cleaning. The smoother the interior surface of your bore on your gun, the smaller the benefit of doing this. It is the ultimate in cleaning though, kind of like a strop to knife sharpening. That knife is already sharp when it gets to the strop. That strop just finishes the job. When using a plain patchworm as delivered, you are constantly entering the breech with the long tail and pulling it through. In order to get 50 to 100 strokes, what it typically takes to get a mirror finish, that is a big pain in the butt. I asked our friends over at Patchworm to send me a 4-foot and some stops. The idea I had was to trap 3 felt buttons in the middle of that length, allowing me to pull back and forth, getting the required strokes much easier and faster. This approach has 2 unique benefits. The media self-aligns in the bore, minimizing steering by the push-pull action. As the stop pushes the stack of felt, they will want to expand inside the bore, maintaining full engagement where the projectile rides. When you reverse direction, the same thing happens in the other direction. The same expansion counters the wear and tear on the felt as well, keeping them in service longer. I believe this technique leads to a really nice job and takes polishing a bore about as far as mortals are allowed to go. Let's apply this with Broomhilda, my HW97K I built for Springer class HFT. Let's create one of these polishing tools and use it on the Springer. First thing we're going to do is find the center of this long length of plastic rod. There we go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to fit 3 of these felt buttons onto this rod centered right on that mark. Find the pointy end. Get them right through the center. Here's my stops that they supplied. Centered right over our black mark. Next up, I'm going to use some cyanoacrylate or super glue or whatever you want to call it. This is basically an instant adhesive. This particular one in the link below is a thin variety. I don't know that it matters much what you use. I just wanted to make sure that it got wicked into that joint really well. Going to take one of our plastic stops from this end. Important here, we don't want to glue the felt. We want the felt to be free to move a little bit so that it can get squished and expand as these stops engage the stack. Put one on from the other way to trap those felt bobbins in place. And if you get the thin, you can actually watch it wick right down into that joint. And we're just going to set this aside and let it cure. I would let it cure for a while. I don't know. I think a good glue joint needs a little time to set up, even if they do say it's instant. I am going to put some gaffer tape on the sides of this beautiful JP Custom stock, because even though I have soft jaws on my vise, sometimes you can pick up metal chips or stuff like that in the soft jaws and they still have the potential to scratch. So I'm going to put a piece of gaffer tape on each side. Anyone who watched my video on scope wheels go round and round, I talk about gaffer tape in that one, and it is just really, really handy tape. I know it's a little pricey, but the cloth surface and the fact that the glue is not permanent and it doesn't leave a great big goopy mess behind, I think it works really well. Let's take this over to the vise and get it mounted up. All right, now we're going to mount this rifle, and we want to tilt that muzzle downward just a little bit so that when we open it up, that breech is pointed downward. That way we can be sure to get rid of anything that builds up in the barrel as we clean it. I have removed the cap off of this false muzzle brake here just because I didn't want to have to use the straw to get the cleaning rod through each time. Two things we're going to use right now to get this barrel squeaky clean is ballistol, choice of YouTube air gunners everywhere, and the patchworm. We're going to spray some ballistol down there, get it soaking. I'm also going to wet this patch. If you haven't checked out the patchworm yet, you need to. Yeah, I know a lot of guys on YouTube in the airgun community swear by the patchworm, and that's what got me started on it, and I know what it's all about. I love them too. You can definitely feel the choke on this HW97K barrel. All right, you all know how to clean a barrel, so I'm not going to bore you with this. We will come back when I can draw a patch through here nice and clean, and then we'll start polishing. All right, we're going to call that barrel clean enough. We're going to start threading our handy dandy felt bobbin cord down the bore. Notice we're already popped out over here. If anybody would like a lost rooster, let me know. I'm about ready to kill that bird. This is the JB Bore Bright. I'm just going to smooth some of this on my felt bobbins. I'm going to do 2 passes of 25 strokes back and forth on this bore, and in between each of those 25 I'm going to reapply the JB Bore Bright, and then the last application that I do, I'm going to do 50 pulls back and forth. I'm trying to not go past the end of the bore. There we go. There's 2. Three. Yeah, we had a bond fail on this setup. So I'm going to clean this up and rebond this bobbin in place. So for solvent, I'm going to use a little brake parts cleaner. And the other thing I'm going to do to enhance this bond a little bit is just scuff up this rod a little bit in that area. Give that adhesive a little more tooth. What's really funny is how much those buttons have already shrunk in length. So I'm not going to try and get right down on top of them. I want them to be able to slide back and forth. So one thing that I found with this technique that you really need to watch for is each time you pull too far and come out of that bore, you stand the chance of not being able to get the felt bobbins back in, because they do expand with the action of the rod, which we kind of knew that was going to do that. So Another thing that I'm going to do is give myself a little witness mark on here so I know that I'm getting close to the end. And I'm going to do the same thing when I get down here close to that choke. That way I know when to let up. And there's 4. Seven, 8, 9, 10. Not going to make you sit with me through this first 25. So we'll come back at the end. All right, we got that first 25 done. Going to reapply. Also give these a little bit of a roll with your fingers to kind of compress that diameter a little bit. Makes getting them started easy. If you find that you're really having to pull really hard on these to get them started, just put it on a flat bench and roll it with a pellet tin to kind of smooth them back down in diameter a little bit, and they'll be a lot easier to get started in there. Two, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we're holding together. I'm going to do one more application. So we're at the midway point. We got 50 strokes in, 2 sets of 25. This final set is going to be 50. And it's amazing how much better this feels already with these bobbins going through there. 1, 2, 3. So now we're going to get rid of all of this polishing compound on the interior of the breech. Next thing we're going to do is spray a little solvent right down this bore, just to kind of get most of that stuff out. Going to follow that up with a quick patch. Want to get that patch in there nice and quick. Move as much of that polishing compound out as you can. And then we're going to bring our old friend back, the ballastol. And our last thing this barrel is going to see on the inside is that handy ballastol. It's astonishing how slick this barrel feels inside. These patches slide through like grease lightning now. All right, I think we're pretty much done cleaning this out. And I think we've got a killer result. I mean, just light finger pressure pulls that patch right through. It's coming out pretty clean. Take it through the other way. Hate to waste those patches, you know. Wow. That just goes through there slicker than you know what through a goose. That's it, folks. That's one polished barrel. And it came out beautiful. Now we have a barrel about as clean and smooth as we are likely to get. As I got to the end, I could sure feel a difference when pulling that felt back and forth. Take a moment and let me know what you think of this technique. I really like it. The polish I use is Brownell's JB Bore Bright. Many on the interwebs use whatever metal polish they had to hand. I'm not saying those are bad, but having been involved with gunsmithing on powder burners and air gunners for a long time, I tend to give stuff from Brownell's a lot of credence. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate your time and support. Be sure to check out the Amazon links if you are considering buying any of this stuff. Please consider visiting my company's website at targetforge.net and our new Patreon to support this channel directly. I would love to keep bringing you innovative content on all things airgun related. Be a light in the darkness, friends. Peace.